what's up? Hello, Katie here. Welcome to or welcome back to my channel. And today I'm so freaking pumped because we're going to talk about one of my favorite things, one of the most interesting, fascinating things in my world, and that's the Enneagram. Do you know what your type is? Have you taken the test? Do you know what the Enneagram is? If so, comment down below what your type is. If you don't, trudy.com will be linked down below. Click on it, take the test, come back, tell me what your type is, because I am obsessed. In short, Enneagram stands for 9-pointed figure, and it's basically where each person is one of these 9 personality types. Now, it doesn't mean you are only that personality type. What it is that the core of you is one of these 9 types, and then the rest of your personality is filtered out through the rest of the types. So you're not one central thing, but the core of you is. And the Enneagram decides which type you are based on your core fear or your core motivation. So you might see 2 different people or 2 different fictional characters, which is what we'll be talking about in this video, that are doing or saying the same thing. But that doesn't mean they're the same type, because it's what caused them to make that decision, what fear motivated them to do that made them that certain type. So for each Enneagram type, I'm going to give a brief description, and then I'm going to list a couple characters that I think exemplify that type, whether they're good or bad. And then I'm going to list a book or 2 that I think really either is call out culture for that type, like you're going to be insulted, or I think would be a book that your Enneagram type would really benefit from reading or really enjoy reading. With all that said, let's jump right into the video. First, we have type 1, which is known as the reformer or the advocate or the idealist. They are very self-controlled, very principled, they're perfectionists. Now, something about them is that their basic fear is being corrupt or evil. And their basic desire is to be good and just and right. Now, something that is confusing, and we'll go ahead and knock this out now because we're going to talk about it for the rest of the types, is that no type is good or bad. That doesn't exist. Not all type 1s are right. They just think they're right. They think they are. And also, traditionally, they are going based on what society sees as right, is forming them and what they think is right, but the way they go about doing it is not always great. And I'm going to apologize because I am going to talk about Harry Potter quite a few times because it's so easy to type these characters because there's so many books. Also, this is probably the most relatable content where I can get my point across very clearly. So for type 1, Hermione Granger is a perfect description of a type 1. Also, it's a very good representation of a type 1 because you see her grow from a very grating, frustrating 1 to growing into like being a good person and getting her points across and making sure people don't think that she's rude or snobby. And in the very beginning, when you see her like throwing her hand up and saying she knows the right answer, or saying, we can't do that, that's against the rules, we can never do that, we're going to get expelled. That's a type 1. And then later on, when she's using what she thinks is right to do right instead of preaching about what's right, that is a 1 growing. Atticus Finch from To Kill a Mockingbird. I will also say that To Kill a Mockingbird is a perfect book for a type 1. It's absolutely perfect. This guy is putting everything on the line to support and what's that word? When you're standing up for someone. Anyway, he's standing up for a Black man in a very racist Southern town, and he is putting everything out there. He's putting his name, his career, his livelihood, his life on the line to stand up for this guy because it's the right thing to do. And he's willing to die. He's willing to go to jail. He's willing to be like put out to the stake because it's the right thing to do. So I think that this book is really good for a type 1. Another book that I think is absolutely perfect for a type 1 would be The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. Now, this is following 2 sisters in Nazi-occupied France, an older sister who has a daughter who a Nazi soldier moves into her house, and she is having to put up with this because she doesn't want to risk her daughter's life. And she's trying to fight back against the Nazis in small ways because she doesn't want to fight against them, but she's finding herself unable to not do the right thing. And then her younger sister, Isabel, is wanting to do the right thing no matter what. She becomes a spy, she's a double agent, she's doing whatever she can to fight the Nazis because they're wrong. And I have a couple quotes from The Nightingale, since I did just read it 2 weeks ago, that I wanted to read to you that I think really exemplify a type 1, or at least a type 1 book. Vianne didn't hesitate. She knew now that no one could be neutral, not anymore. And as afraid as she was of risking Sophie's life, she was suddenly more afraid of letting her daughter grow up in a world where good people did nothing to stop evil, where a good woman could turn her back on a friend in need. If that doesn't scream 1, what does? Type 2 is the helper. They are the hostess. They are interpersonal. They are caring. They're generous. They're possessive. They're demonstrative. Their core desire is to be loved, to gain love from other people by forcing their love on them. And their core fear is being unloved or unwanted. Here we are again. Now, I'm using this as an example because it is the perfect way to describe a healthy 2 versus an unhealthy 2, and to prove to you that each type is not good or bad. They can be both. And the example is, a type 2 in this book is Molly Weasley. Another type 2 in this book is Bellatrix Lestrange. They're both type 2s. They both want love so badly. They show love. They exude love. They shove their love down somebody's throat. But Molly Weasley is doing it by baking cookies and knitting people Christmas sweaters and demonstratively being like, no, what are you doing? Come home this instant. Oh my God. And she's loving, and she's a mom, and we love her. We stan. And then there's Bellatrix that is in love with Voldemort and trying to shove our love down his throat, and just becomes crazier and crazier and crazier the more he doesn't show it back. So they're both type 2s, just in very different ways. Another very good example of a type 2 is Mother Gothel from Tangled. Mother Knows Best is one of the most type 2 things I've ever heard in my life. When she's like, why would you do this to your mother? You're gonna leave me? I'm the one that loves you. The world will never love you as much as I do. That is type 2 shit, sis. The book that I'm going to recommend that type 2s read is Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. Now, it is not because the main characters I believe to be type 2s. It is because this is a type 2 at its heart. This is going to make type 2s feel so vindicated, so full. Their hearts are just going to be brimming, because this is one of the few times that you will ever see the love that is given being shown back in equal measure, completely equally. And the way that these daughters treat their mom, unmatched. Like, they treat her like she's a goddess. And I think that Marmee is a type 8. That's me. But I think that a type 2 wants to be Marmee, and they want daughters like these children because they love her so much. And the love that Marmee shows them, they show back to her tenfold. Okay, I'll put an example to it, is that there is a time in this book that is not shown in the movie that on Christmas, they all receive a small amount of money to go buy something for themselves. And instead of buying something for themselves, they're like, you know what we should do? We should all buy something for Marmee because she does so much to take care of us, and we need to pamper her. We need to show her that we love her and that she's the most important person in our world. And they all go out and buy something personal to give to her. And it's a small thing, and it's so incredibly sweet. And she just sits there and basks in all the love. And I feel like a type 2 would be living their best life reading this book. The Enneagram 3 is the achiever, or the professional, or the charmer. Now, they are very driven, they are adaptable, they excel, they obsess over success, and they are very image conscious. Now, their basic fear is to be undesirable, and as it goes, their basic motivation is to be admired, to be adored, to be wanted. Now, image is a big deal for a type 3. If their image is not what is being wanted in a scenario or a setting, they will change that image. They will change themselves and everything about them to go with the flow of whatever is in this situation because they want to be the best. The two characters that I would definitely say are type 3s are Eli Ever from Vicious and Amy Dunn from Gone Girl. But Gone Girl exemplifies a type 3 so much it hurts. It hurts. I'm not going to tell you really what this book is about because I don't want to spoil anything, but essentially it is about a marriage and the wife disappears and about what happened to her, and everybody thinks the husband did it. Did he do it? Did he not? What happened? Who knows? Read it. It's amazing. But anyway, I don't remember where the certain quote is, but there is a part where they talk about how Amy's parents are psychologists and they created a book series called Amazing Amy. Now, what they did with that is that every time Amy would fall short, just a little bit, like maybe she gave up clarinet, they would come out with a book a month later about Amazing Amy, who won the recital for the clarinet, who won a bunch of money, who went on to become a clarinet enthusiast, who won a bunch of awards doing it, where she would always be perfect. And Amy, her whole life was angry that she could never live up to this Amazing Amy. And I think that's such a 3 thing. Like, a 3's wound is not being good enough, especially if it's exemplified by your parents. And that was definitely shown in this book. There's a part where Amy in this book talks about putting on certain images so that men will like her, or so that anybody will like her, because she wants to be liked that badly, that she will change everything about herself. So what she says, I was pretending the way I often did, pretending to have a personality. I can't help it. It's what I've always done. The way some women change fashion regularly, I change personalities. What persona feels good? What's coveted? You can't tell me she's not a type 3. You can't. I think that if you're a type 3, you will really like this book, because I think that you will find the things that all of these characters do. Not just Amy, who is a type 3, but all of the characters in this book try so hard to maintain their image. All of them. To maintain an image, to be seen by the press, by the police, by everybody, to be the perfect person. And they will die trying. Like, they go so hard to achieve, to win. All of them want to win. All of them want what they want to be the winner. Do you know what I'm saying? This book is great. Just read it. No matter what you are, read this book. Type 4 is the individualist or the romantic. Now, they are very dramatic, they're sensitive, they're self-absorbed, they're deep, they're introspective, they're artistic, and they're different. Now, they're very, very obsessed with their motivation of being unique. They want to be different. They want to have significance personally. They think that things that happen to them have only ever happened to them. When you hear somebody telling a very dramatic story and it's something that's pretty insignificant, they're probably a type 4. Or you see somebody in all black and it's a turtleneck and they're reading poetry in the back of a club, they're probably a type 4. And their basic fear is being insignificant, or being basic is probably the word I would use. A couple choices for characters for a type 4 would be Ursula from Disney. Like, say less. You know what I'm saying? And also Phantom from the Phantom of the Opera. I would also recommend Phantom of the Opera as a book for this, because I do think that it is very deep, it's very dramatic, it's very darkly romantic, like oddly romantic. And I think the Phantom thinks that he is so different and that all the things that he's doing and feeling are just so otherworldly. So I would definitely suggest that book, but the book that I'm going to suggest above all else is The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I would suggest Evelyn Hugo as a character for type 4 as well. She is very dramatic, she is an artist, she's an actress, but she also is out of the spotlight. She doesn't want to be, she wants to be in the spotlight, she wants to be the sun, but from her home. She doesn't want other people coming into her space, but she wants to be a success. She wants to be an artist. It's very deep, very dramatic. She's very romantic. And again, I won't spoil the book, but this is a book about a woman, Evelyn Hugo, who goes and at the very later part of her life, when she's a lot older, she goes and says she's going to give her life story to this random journalist. And what everybody wants to know is that she's had 7 husbands in her life, and who was the one? Who was the love of her life? And she says, okay, buckle up, buttercup. I'll tell you the whole damn story. Because that's Evelyn. Evelyn's like, let me talk for 3 weeks to you with a recorder about my life. Like, hello, type 4, what? Hello? But she's also so deep and just like the poetic way that she tells her own story is so beautiful. And I do have a quote that I want to read out of here that I think is Just so type 4. People think intimacy is about sex, but intimacy is about truth. When you realize you can tell someone your truth, when you can show yourself to them, when you can stand in front of them bare, and their response is, "You're safe with me," that's intimacy. That's deep. That's traumatic. That's romantic. That's everything type 4. I got a couple other doozies. Never let anyone make you feel ordinary. All type 4s just need to get that tattooed, honestly. Oh, I gotta tell you another one. I'm under absolutely no obligation to make sense to you. Okay. Type 5 is the investigator or the problem solver. Now, they are very cerebral, they're very innovative, they're very isolated, they can tend to be very intelligent, but they do use knowledge as power, and that means withholding knowledge and doling it out as they see fit. Now, my dad is a type 5. I don't think I told you, but my mom is a type 2. So as a type 5, your basic and core desire is to be capable and competent. You want to be intelligent. You want to be capable of solving problems, not just for yourself, but for your family, for your friends, for your coworkers, for your employees. And the thing you fear the most is being incapable. The easiest type 5 to mention is Sherlock Holmes. He is such a type 5. This is the definitive type 5. We don't even need to say anything else. He's a type 5. He's so intelligent. He is obsessed with showing his intelligence to people. And when he's not showing his intelligence, everybody else get out. He just wants to stay in his room. Don't come to my apartment unless you have a case. And if you have a case, come in and let's figure it out. Some more type 5s would be Hannibal Lecter. Yeah. Also, Lisbeth Salander from The Girl Who Kicked the Hornet's Nest. What's the first one? You all know what I'm talking about, right? Anyway, can't believe I can't remember that. Victor Vale is absolutely another type 5. And again, another character study in which his parents are psychologists and how it fucked him up. Anyway, Victor Vale is definitely somebody who is very introspective. He is not outgoing. He's not assertive the way that Eli is, but he watches Eli. He's constantly observing him, constantly watching him and learning from him and wanting to be around him to figure out what he knows and to show Eli that he is intelligent, that he's capable, that he is just as capable, if not more capable, than Eli. And he spends the entire book trying to prove that he's better than Eli or that he is at least on the same level. So that's perfect. If you want a little fun, kind of fantastical book for a type 5, because I think type 5s probably go a little bit more cerebral, but this is like so cerebral for a fantasy. The other book would be The Secret History by Donna Tartt. I definitely think a 5 would love this. This book is very pretentious. It's very intelligent. It's very isolated. This is a very, very isolated book where it's a core group of characters. One of them dies, and it's about what happened to this character that died and how all of them are involved and about like which one is going to break. It has a lot of Sherlock vibes to it, but mix in Dead Poet Society, mix in a lot of dark academia. This book defined dark academia. I think a type 5 would really love to read this, and not only love to read about how intelligent these characters are and about the things they're studying and about the way they live their life. And a type 5 is going to be like, where can I go to get that? I want that energy in my life. But also they're going to be reading it and thinking about how smart this plan is, how smart this book was set up, how smart it was curated. And they're going to be reading it, trying to figure out what they would have done, what they would have said, who they would have trusted, who they would have gone to, what they would have done in this situation, what knowledge, what clues they would have kept to themselves, what they would have doled out. I just think that this is just such type 5 vibes. Type 6 is the loyalist. Now, they are very security oriented, they are responsible, they're anxious, they are also very suspicious. Now, they do put their loyalty in authority figures that they deem to be worthy of their commitment. Their core desire is to be provided with security, and their fear is to be without guidance and without support. Now, there is a little bit of difference here because there is counterphobic 6s and phobic 6s. Now, that is very interesting because they are the only type that has a divergence between them. The easiest way to describe the difference between a counterphobic and a phobic 6 would be Fight Club. The narrator is a phobic 6, and Tyler Durden is a counterphobic 6. They do things for the same reason, but they come across in different ways. Now, I am going to be talking a little bit more about this type because it is my type. I am a counterphobic 6-wing 5. So this is the one that I understand more, as well as a type 8, because counterphobic 6s are most commonly mistyped as being an 8. Characters that I think exemplify a type 6 would absolutely be Watson from Sherlock Holmes. He is the ride or die sidekick. Watson is very intelligent, and he is pretty counterphobic, but he believes in Sherlock. He believes in him, he thinks he's intelligent, he thinks he's doing the right thing, so he throws his weight behind that horse. So no matter what Sherlock's doing, even if it doesn't seem good, if it seems drastic, Watson is holding him up. He's like, yes, do it. We love it. We love to see it. And then also Claudia from Monday's Not Coming. Monday's Not Coming by Tiffany D. Jackson is about a girl named Claudia and her best friend Monday. And one day Claudia goes to school and Monday is not there. Now, this is not just her best friend, it is her only friend. They spend every second of every day together. Her whole entire life revolves around Monday. And when Monday doesn't come to school and she continues to not come to school, Claudia throws her entire life into trying to find Monday. Monday worried I'd know about her problem if I got too close to her. But when you're always cold, it's easy to be drawn to the sun. And that was just, oh, that broke my heart. It broke my heart because I really feel like it's basically Claudia is like, I have no one, because 6s really put all of their attention into their friendships and into their relationships. And they usually only have a couple that are very, very important. And basically Claudia doesn't have any friends. And then Monday is her sole purpose for living, basically. Like her only joy is this girl. And I love that she says, but when you're always cold, it's easy to be drawn to the sun, because that is what 6s do, is they throw their weight behind the person that they believe is the brightest sun. And in this book, it would be Monday. Another quote is, if Monday were a color, she'd be red, crisp, striking, vivid. You couldn't miss her. A bullseye in the room, a crackling flame. I saw so much red that it blinded me to any flags. That's another type 6 thing, in my opinion, is that once they have chosen you, and they spend a while deciding, once they have chosen you as being the person that they want to put their trust in, their loyalty in, because it takes 6s a lot of time to decide to put their loyalty in someone. But once they do, it's really hard to shake them. It is very hard for a type 6 to give up on somebody that they have already chosen. And now we're here for call out culture. Call Me By Your Name by Andre Asaman. If you're a type 6, stop what you're doing. Stop watching this video. Go and read this. I am not shitting you right now. Elio is the most 6-wing 5 character in the history of the universe. I'm telling you, as a 6-wing 5, listen to me. Oh my God. All these tabs, the orange tabs are Elio and I the same person? So don't let anything catch you unprepared. Be warned. I had rehearsed losing him, not just to ward off suffering by taking it in small doses beforehand, but as all superstitious people do, to see if my willingness to accept the worst might not induce fate to soften its blow. Like soldiers trained to fight by night, I lived in the dark so as not to be blinded when darkness came. Rehearse the pain to dull the pain, homeopathically. The quote, I lived in the dark so as not to be blinded when darkness came. I would get that tattooed if it wasn't so depressing. I have never heard something that was more type 6. Type 6 are big threat forecasters. They imagine the worst case scenario happening over and over and over and over again because they want to be prepared. They want to know what they would do. They want to know what is going to happen if this thing happens. And oh my God, this is such call out culture. I can't handle it. Type 7 is the enthusiast. Now, they are very versatile, they're very spontaneous, they are variety seeking, they're scattered. Their basic motivation is they want to be free. And their basic fear is to be tethered, to be trapped. They do not want to be stuck in one place. I think that characters that are type 7s or people that are type 7s, they hate to be stuck in one place. And the second that they fear that they are trapped, the second that they don't like what's happening, they don't like their situation, they are the first people to jump on a plane and get out of town. They love escapism. They love to run away from their problems. Now, they also are very optimistic people. They are very enthusiastic people. They are very life of the party. They're very like, oh my God, hey, like really intense, and they can seem very happy, but it's because they're running away from their sadness. A couple good options for characters that are type 7s would be Peter Pan, also the Joker, Evie O'Neill from the Diviners. Evie O'Neill is a great example because she is a character who is very optimistic, very go-get-em, but she is an alcoholic because she drinks to get away from her problems. And she doesn't even know she's depressed, and she doesn't know what to call it. She just knows that she doesn't want to think about it, and she runs from it. Now, I think that the perfect character to describe as a type 7 and the perfect book to recommend is A Darker Shade of Magic. And honestly, the entire Shades of Magic series, because Delilah Bard is such a 7 wing 8. She's such a 7. It's absolutely insane. Every single quote about her or that she says is such a 7. Delilah Bard, she wants to be a pirate. She's a thief that wants to be a pirate. She's an enthusiast. She's a thrill seeker. She wants an adventure, and she'll stop at nothing to live a thrilling existence. She's absolutely amazing. I'm obsessed with her. Oh my God. Hello. Read this book. But let me read you a couple quotes. Lila says, "I'd rather die in an adventure than live standing still." And there's another one that's my absolute favorite that says, "I'm not going to die until I've seen it." Seen what? Her smile widened. Everything. She hates goodbyes, she seeks thrills, she loves adventure, she would rather die than be boring. She's just so incredibly fascinating, and she seeks danger instead of modernity, dullness. We're gonna say dullness. Another book that I would say for a type 7, if you're maybe a little bit more introverted, would be Get a Life, Chloe Brown. Now, this is about a girl who decides she has a chronic pain, and she decides after she almost dies that she wants to start living. So she creates this to-do list, this bucket list of things that she wants to do to get her outside of her comfort zone. And they're not anything crazy, but they are crazy for her. And I think that if you're a type 7, but you're a little bit more introverted, you would really adore this book. It is a great romance. It's very sweet, and it is about a girl who is just trying to live a little and trying to be out there. And I think that you would really enjoy it. And even if you are a 7 and you don't feel like this is intense enough, I think you would really think it was cute. Type 8 is the challenger. Now, they are very decisive, they are controlling, they're domineering, they are self-confident, they are go-getters, they are very, very powerful. They are loud, they are brash, and they are known to be angry. Now, this is because they show their anger. They show it outwardly, where other types might hold it in or do it more passive aggressively. Now, 8's biggest fear is being without control or letting other people have control over them. Now, their desire is to be powerful, or at the very least, to be independent and have freedom and control over their own life. Now, a big thing with an 8 is that they root for and fight for the underdog. And the biggest example of that would be Katniss Everdeen in the Hunger Games. I think that Katniss is a huge, huge example of a type 8, but I also think that the entire trilogy would be a great series for a type 8. I'm sure you already know what it's about, but one of the reasons that I think that Katniss is such a type 8 is because of Prim and because of Rue, who I think that she shows that Katniss, her main goal in this is to fight for the underdog. She throws herself into the Hunger Games to protect her sister Prim, who she believes is weaker and more fragile than her and needs to be protected. And then when she's in the Hunger Games, she is fighting to protect Rue, who is younger and weaker and more fragile than her, and she just wants to protect her. So I think this is a great example of a type 8 and a book series that I would really recommend for 8s. Jo March is definitely a type 8 in Little Women. I think that if you're a type 8 and you want to read a classic, this is for you. I definitely felt myself in this book with the 8 because, again, I'm a counterphobic 6, which can really relate to type 8s, and also my best friend is a type 8. My brother is also a type 8, so I have a lot of type 8s in my life and a lot of people that are very close to me. And one of the quotes in this book that I really loved is, again, how 8s fight for the little guy, is that in this, Jo's closest confidant, her closest person, is her sister Beth. And Beth is the one who is just chronically ill. She's very fragile, she's very sickly, and that makes Jo become closer to her because she wants to fight for her, she wants to be her protector. And when Beth is at her sickest, and one of the people in the book says it's up to God's will whether she lives or dies, all Jo says is, God hasn't met my will yet. Ooh! Ooh, this was written in 1868, ladies. Let's talk about 1868. Let me tell you a quote that I'm freaking obsessed with. I have a shirt that has this quote on it. That's how obsessed I am. It says, this is by Joe March. I'm happy as I am and love my liberty too well to be in a hurry to give it up for any mortal man. Type 8, hello. The biggest and best representative of a type 8, hands down, fight me if you will, Addie LaRue. The book and the character. The character is an 8-wing 7, literally fight me. Literally fight me. You can't, it is proven. Also, this book is perfect for an 8. It's perfect. You're going to feel vindicated. As a type 8, you're going to read this and you are going to be with her on this fight. This whole book is a fight. It's about a girl who's growing up in the 1800s in France where she's not allowed to make money. She is not allowed to vote. She's not allowed to be a part of anything other than just being a wife and being a mother. And she decides she doesn't want that life. So she prays to the gods to be free. They come and tell her, okay, we'll give you that for a price. And the price is nobody will ever remember her. She doesn't know that. And when she signs on to it, she basically signs up for a 300-year battle with Luke, who's the demon or God, the bad guy, whatever, that gave her this deal. This fight is a type 8's wet dream. Are you kidding me? She fights for 300 years against this guy and she's just like a girl that's fighting against a god. It's like David and Goliath. It's amazing. The whole book is from a type 8's point of view, so the whole thing is a quote about a type 8, but this one is my favorite and the best example of what a type 8 is. So when this demon comes to take her soul, is like, give me your life. Addie is ready to give up. She's ready. She's tired. She's sick. She's depressed. She's lonely. She doesn't want to do this anymore. And she's about to give up. But the demon is like laughing at her and is like, you're pathetic. You could have never made it anyway. And Addie sits forward. You think yourself a cat playing with its catch, but I am not a mouse and I will not be a meal. I suppose we'll see. Yes, says Addie, taking up on her own. We will. He has given her a gift tonight, though she doubts he knows it. Time has no face, no form, nothing to fight against. But in his mocking smile, his toying words, the darkness has given her the only thing she truly needed. An enemy. Okay, listen, if you don't know a type 8, they have to fight something. They have to be fighting something all the time to have purpose in their life. They need to be fighting against something. They need to be taking down something they don't think is right, fighting against something they think is wrong. And this girl, literally, it's like 1 or 2 years into her curse, is about to give up. And when this guy is like, yeah, you're going to give up, like you're nothing. She's like, excuse me? And then lives another 300 years to spite this motherfucker. In spite, in anger, in loathing, she lives another 300 years. She's an icon, honestly. And our last type is type 9, which is the peacemaker. Now, they are very agreeable. They're very complacent. They like to keep the peace. They don't want to rock the boat. They are assuring. They are so agreeable. It's honestly detrimental to themselves to the nth degree. They do not want to rock the boat. Their fear is having people separated from them for something that they do. And what they want is for everything to be easygoing. They want everything to be at peace, everything to be harmonious. Now, the problem with that is that the 9s will go in on themselves. They love to take naps. They like to stay in. They do not like conflict at all. They hate conflict. Kel from A Darker Shade of Magic is definitely a 9, and it's very interesting to see him as a main character who's a 9, and then Delilah Bard, who's a 7, interact with each other. I really love that. Nick Dunn from Gone Girl. Now, I have never read a character that was such a type 9 as this guy. Now, this is call-out culture. This is call-out culture. If you're a 9, you're going to read this book, and you're going to get mad at me for recommending this, but he's a 9, and listen, there's nothing I can do about it, okay? Let's read a couple quotes about how type 9 Nick Dunn is. His sister says, "You'd literally lie, cheat, and steal, hell, kill, to convince people you're a good guy." Yeah. Oh God, this one hurts. This one hurts. One of my friends is a type 9, and this like made me mad because this is something she does all the time. He says, "I sometimes leave out details like that. It's more convenient for me. I'm a big fan of the lie of omission." Lie of omission. Lie of omission is like the type 9 steadfast. That is their cornerstone, is a lie of omission. They just won't tell you anything because they don't want a conflict. They don't want to say anything. And then like a month later, they'll tell a story and you're like, what? You didn't tell me that. And they're like, didn't I? No, they just leave things out because they don't want to rock the boat. They don't want to tell you anything. They literally keep everything to themselves, and it is so frustrating. Sorry, I'm not trying to put type 9s on blast this hard. Ignore me. Whew, this one. I couldn't bear to have the conversation, to have to explain myself. So I let myself drift on in the miserable situation, assuming that at some point Amy would take charge, Amy would demand a divorce, and then I would get to be the good guy. Listen, I'm not here to tell you that this is what type 9s are like. I'm trying to tell you that an unhealthy 9, an annoying 9, is Nick Dunn. This guy's a 9. Sorry about it. Let me move on to something nicer. And that is, I think that if you're a type 9, you would really, really love Heartstopper by Alice Oseman. Do you know why? Because there's no problems. There's no problems. It's all lighthearted. It's all fun. It's all fresh. You're just going to be a joy. You're just going to feel joy. You're going to take a nap afterward. You're going to be cozy in a blanket, and you're just going to feel good about yourself. This is just the most touching, apple pie, heartwarming thing you could possibly read. It's all about love. It's about security, how you feel secure in your relationships, secure in yourself, becoming secure in yourself without having to go out there and really put yourself out there. And hello, like type 9 say what? If you want to push yourself a little bit, I think a type 9 would like to read Get a Life, Chloe Brown. And the reason I think that is because these two characters, Reddington and Chloe, are very sedentary people. They're not super adventurous, but they get as adventurous as they will get. And I've already told you what this is about, but I do think that if you're a type 9, this might be a little exhilarating to read because it is a character who is trying really hard to put herself out there, trying to push herself out of her comfort zone, and I think that's something that a 9 really needs. And I think reading this would be very fun and fresh and just liven things up for you. Dear Lord, I have been talking for an absolute age. It's been 2 hours. Hope I got usable footage out of this. But anyway, please, 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 if you like this video, comment down below any recommendations that you have about something that I should read based on an Enneagram type, or any character that you really believe is a certain Enneagram type. Leave them down below. I would love to hear it, especially if they're anything like a type 6 or a type 8, or any of the other ones, because I'm not as knowledgeable on those, so I would love to hear your opinion on characters you think, or books that you think would exemplify those types so that I can learn more about it. If you want to reach out to me on Instagram or Goodreads, they will be linked down below. And other than that, I really hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you have an amazing day, and I will see you soon in a video coming soon. Bye. And that did I not describe what any of these other books were about? Okay, it's fine, it's fine.